Tariq Elite on Tariq Elite Radio.
You better recognize.
Yeah. I'ma let it ride.
I'm just trying to know you better.
Right about now.
Let's start with the basics. Your inseam, what your waist is, nail color, shoe size, what design is your favorite? Trick dollar, I plays this. Couple niggas you played with. King Zone, gift bags for all the bitches you came with. These niggas on the same shit. Red lobster, red bottom. Sell don't think. Next day, feds got them. But I'm still here. You see, I'm still here. A lot of niggas just came and went, but at least you know that it's real here. Fly you down to where the heat go, lay you out to where the beach go. Jet ski, parasail, yacht as big as my ego. Woo! Heart cold as ever, but I can show you better. If we gon' grow together, I gotta get to know you better.
Tell me what's your name. Tell me what's your sign.
Woo!
Tell me what you into. Tell me what you like.
And that's that new Omarion, man. That shit is hot. That's called Know You Better. That's with Pusha T and Fabulous. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mack Lessons Radio Show. I am your gracious host. My name is Mr. Tariq Elite Nasheed, coming in live from Los Angeles. I'm sporting my Tariq Elite t-shirt right now. You can go to tariqelite.com, get your t-shirts, get your hats, get your sunglasses, and all that good stuff. Now, today I'm going to chop up some real good game on today's show. We're going to talk about the whole Miley Cyrus situation. The MTV Video Music Awards show was just on, and a lot of people are talking about the Miley Cyrus performance. So we're going to get real deep into that. But before we do, let's go into a commercial break. And when we come back from the commercial break, we're going to take some phone calls and we're going to get into the Miley Cyrus situation right here on the Mack Lessons Radio Show. Ladies and gentlemen, join me, Tariq Elite Nasheed, live on September 21st, 2013. That's a Saturday at Tennessee State University Gentry Center. That is in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm going to be doing a live lecture there. It's my first time in Nashville. I'm going to be spitting that hot fire. I want to see you in the place. If you are surrounding Nashville, Memphis, Alabama, Mississippi, Atlanta, wherever you're from, come on down to Nashville, Tennessee. The game is going to be hot. The hot fire is going to be hotter. Ladies and gentlemen, get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com or you get your tickets at TariqLive.com. Again, that's me, Tariq Elite Nasheed, live in Nashville, Tennessee, Saturday, September 21st at the Tennessee State Gentry Center in Nashville, Tennessee. I will see you there. Check out the brand new instructional DVD called The Bad Boys Guide to Dating by Mr. Lucario. This instructional DVD course teaches you everything you need to know about attracting quality women and how to step your game up. You can get this at MrLucario.com. That's MrLucario.com. Or you can get it at ILookSexyNaked.com. That's The Bad Boys Guide to Dating DVD by Mr. Lucario. Check out the brand new rap CD, Dying for a Living. That's by P-Dash. And that's available at IamP-.com or cdbaby.com/P-2. That's Dying for a Living. It's also available on iTunes and Amazon.com. That's by my boy P-Dash at IamP-.com. You know, bad credit is very, very unplayer. You need a viable credit score for a car, for homes, for business loans, the whole 9 yards. Primary Credit Boost makes it easy, and it shows you how to save thousands of dollars by doing it for yourself. And you can make a profit while providing services for others. Get a copy of the new e-course delivered to your home and learn how to delete negative issues, raise credit scores, and get trade lines in as little as 14 to 30 days. Go to primarycreditboost.com and get your score up. Dream Trips, that's the website that allows people to access a host of discounted vacations through membership, and you can also become a partner in that business. The website is www.bestescape.worldventures.biz. Again, the website is bestescape.worldventures.biz. Check them out today. CaseUltra.com just released this month's t-shirt package called Government Wolves. Now, this t-shirt is inspired by the document called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, which explains plans for mass public and mind control. Sign up before the 15th and make sure you get that shirt. And with Case Ultra's t-shirt subscription, you get a new t-shirt delivered every month. You never have to worry about buying another t-shirt again. Go to caseultra.com. Use your coupon code KFLEX and get 50% off on everything on the site for your first month. That's caseultra.com. TheHoneyHouse.com. That's the new social networking site where you can meet new friends and you can socialize online. This is your chance to get your chat game up, and females who log in daily will get access to cash prizes, and whoever imports the most contacts will get free giveaways, ladies and gentlemen. So do not wait. Log in today. You have nothing to lose. Remember, this is a free site. That's TheHoneyHouse.com. DAHoneyHouse.com.
You are now tuning in to the King of Game, Tariq Elite on Tariq Elite Radio.
You better recognize.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mack Lessons Radio Show. And this is your host, Mr. Tariq Elite Nasheed. We're ready to chop up game. Now, we're going to have people call in. The phone number is 818-850-5404. We want to talk about the whole Miley Cyrus situation at the MTV Music Awards. For those who did not see it, everybody saw it, by the way. It was all over the internet. There was a performance by this former Disney actress, Miley Cyrus. And she got on the show and she was in this raunchy outfit. She had all these sisters dancing around her. She did this risque routine with singer Robin Thicke. She stripped down to these like latex leather bikini shorts, not bikini shorts, but these real tight latex leather shorts, trying to twerk her flapjack ass. And there was a lot of controversy behind that, and a lot of people have opinions about that. Let's go to the phones and see what people are talking about. What's going on? Who's calling?
Hey, what's good, Reed? It's JD, man, in North Carolina.
What's up, JD? What's on your mind, player?
Man, speaking about that Miley Cyrus, man, we got to disassociate ourselves because that behavior, that wretchedness is going to fall back on us as black people. And nobody's going, we don't have no media outlets to defend us, so that's what they're going to say, oh, she's just trying to act black. So we need to start disassociating ourselves from her immediately.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Thank you for the call, man. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about Miley Cyrus because Miley Cyrus has been doing doing music videos and doing all types of Instagram and Twitter pictures of her trying to, quote unquote, associate herself with hood or ratchet culture. That's the whole thing with Miley Cyrus. She's trying to associate herself with ratchet culture, i.e. black culture. And I have a problem with that, and many black people have a problem with that. She's trying to be the bad girl, and the whole bad girl thing consists of her identifying with black culture. That's making her bad. And a lot of these artists, they do that. When they want to toughen up their image or get a bad girl or bad guy image, they start slumming. And that's the title of today's show, Slumming. And I'm going to get into the definition of that shortly. Let me get a couple of more calls here so we can just chop up game with the family. What's up? Who's calling? What's up?
Hello?
Okay, this nigga's slow as hell. I'm hanging up the phone. Now this nigga want to say hello. Now, if you're going to pop a damn Molly, pop that shit after you make a call, family. Y'all don't mess up the flow. I'm trying to keep a flow going on as far as the show and the consistency. So when you call up, be on top of your game. Now, what's going on? Who's calling?
Hey, what's going on, folks? This is Jay out of Houston.
What's up, Jay out of Houston? What's on your mind, player?
Yeah, I want to chime in about the Miley Cyrus situation.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I think she's trying too hard to get rid of that Disney kitty bop image.
Yes.
But I also think the media is going to give her a pass because she is white. And, you know, like the Lindsay Lohan's and the Paris Hiltons, the white girls that fuck up, they all seem to get treated with kid gloves, and they don't really go hard on them. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for the call. And the brother makes a great point. He makes a very excellent point. A lot of times, people keep talking about Miley Cyrus was trying to act black. The stuff she was doing on the VMAs, no black artist does that shit. She's getting out on stage, not dancing correctly, licking out her tongue, just looking crazy as cat shit. No black artist can get away with that. We got to show talent. When we get on the stage, we got to display some kind of talent. We got to be on top of our game. We can't be out there fucking around doing some half-ass show. Y'all remember years ago when Britney Spears did this performance and she was on stage looking crazy. It looked like she had a nervous breakdown. See, but we don't get that pass. If we have one fucked up performance, our career is done. So we got to bring that heat all the time. Like people like Beyonce. Beyonce, if she falls down, which she does, Beyonce will fall down and hop back up like didn't shit happen and keep doing, won't lose a step. So we can't give a whole fucked up performance and then try to bounce back from that. If we give a whole fucked up performance, they're like, okay, that's it. Your shit is over. But they keep trying to associate Miley Cyrus with being black. They keep saying stuff like, well, she's trying to be black. She's trying to be a Negro. She's trying to be a wigger. Don't associate that bullshit with us. Handle your own ratchetness. See, that's part of the whole slumming thing. And a lot of people are not familiar with the idea or the concept of slumming. But the whole slumming thing has been a concept that's going on since the late 1800s, where people within the dominant society, in order to indulge in black culture, they would, quote unquote, lower themselves to come down to the black neighborhoods, to the juke joints, to the ragtime spots, or to the jazz spots, and cavort with the Negro crowd. That was something that was considered risque and dangerous for the dominant society. And this has been going on for a long time, the whole slumming idea. And when people do the so-called slumming, and I'm using their terminology, I don't think of it as slumming, but in their mind, they're slumming when they come down and cavort with the Negroes. What they do, people soak in the culture, find out what's popular, find out what's hot, and then they sanitize it and monetize it for their own profit. And this goes on, this has been going on not just, and I say the dominant society, but because a lot of people just assume white people do it, but just Asians do it as well. When we had our booth up at the Magic Clothing Convention up in Vegas last week, I talked about that on the last show. We were up in Las Vegas at a trade show convention for clothing companies, and we had the Tariq Elite line up there. We had our booth up there. We had a great time in Vegas, by the way. TariqElite.com, and that's where you can see some photos from the convention. We had a great time up there. But I met a young lady. I met a sister up there, and a sister told me, she was like, yeah, I'm working for the Koreans. I'm like, you working for the Koreans? What do you mean? She's like, the Koreans hired her to come to the urban clothing booths where my booth was, because all the booths are in different locations that are similar to each other. So where my booth was, I was around like the Rockaware and other urban clothers, urban clothing lines. I was around those guys. So the sister said that the Koreans hired her to come around us, to come around all the urban brands and the urban sellers, find out what we had going on, find out what was popular with us, and then go back and report to them. Now, I don't know if they were going to bootleg the stuff. I don't know what they were going to do, but they were hiring black folks to go get information and feed it back to them. Because they know that they can't come in with the whole slumming thing, because, it would be too obvious. So that's another part of the slumming hustle, where they get other people to slum for you. But sometimes people do their own slumming. Some people get bold enough to do their own slumming. They go down to the hood or to the urban area, to the urban demographic, and soak up and soak in what's going on so they can figure out how to use it. And this is how minstrel shows got started. This is exactly how minstrel shows got started. There was a guy who, and I talked about this on the show before, in Ohio, this white gentleman saw a ragged black child dancing, doing a dance called the Jim Crow. This white guy incorporated that, and he started doing minstrel shows based on what he saw this black kid doing, and he became very successful. He became one of the first big minstrel artists. And that was the first unique form of entertainment in America, minstrel shows. That was the first unique art form of the United States that took off. Whites imitating, mimicking, and mocking black performers. Understand that, not just black performers, but black people in general. And notice I said mocking because a lot of times with the whole minstrel show thing, it's not paying homage. There's a difference between doing something like somebody and paying homage to it. But with the minstrel thing, there was always a mocking thing to it. Something that justified looking at the black culture as being inferior. So with the whole minstrel show thing going on, where people would paint their faces black and tap dance and shuck and jive and act like the underbelly of black culture, because all black people clearly are not like that, but what they would do, they would incorporate the underbelly of black culture, profit off that, because that's what the dominant society would like to see. They like to see the underbelly of the black community because that makes them feel superior. Just like with the movie The Butler. That's why the movie The Butler is so popular, because this brother's going around, yes and no, sir, yes and no, sir. So that makes the dominant society feel superior. It makes silly Negroes feel like they're learning some history, which you're not. And everybody wins. That's why this movie is making so much money. Scared, passive Negroes get to pretend that they're learning history without being offensive. In the dominant society, they can take that part of history. That's why we got Hidden Colors 3 coming. The tagline of Hidden Colors 3 should be, it's not the butler. Because you're going to get that work with Hidden Colors 3. But I digress, ladies and gentlemen. But again, because minstrel shows were so popular, people would always try to figure out what was going on with black folks, what's new with black folks, so they can incorporate it and create more minstrel shows. Now, some black people got in on the act too. Some black people actually painted their own faces black and pretended they were white in blackface in order to profit off the minstrel show money. So the thing is, the minstrel show thing popped off all the way into the 20th century. It popped off. It was a high standard form of entertainment for this country. It was a big money maker. But there was still a lot of racism. So what happened was a lot of the genuine black performers, they would bounce. In the 1920s, a lot of black performers would go over to Europe and perform. People like the Josephine Bakers, they didn't want to deal with the racism over here. They didn't want to be marginalized. So they said, well, fuck it, I'll take my talent overseas. They discovered that there was a market for them overseas, and they were more liberal as far as race and more welcoming, and they were more into the genuine form of entertainment, not just the inferiority part of the entertainment. So a lot of black artists went over to Europe and performed. They performed jazz and just they started getting their money overseas. Now, when that happened, that left a void here in America, because you had a lot of thorough black performers leaving. So a lot of the white performers didn't have to do the minstrel shows no more because they didn't have anything to draw from. So what they would do, they would start trying to sound black themselves without the blackface. They were just going to try to make their whole musical image a replica of the black artist. And then that brings us to rock and roll in the 1940s and 50s. See, when rock and roll popped off, that was basically a lot of the white artists trying to mimic black artists without blackface. They took the blackface off because then it became unpopular to straight up and down mock black folks, because again, we were going through World War II, and they had to tone the racism down a little bit because a lot of other countries were criticizing the United States for being so racist, like Japan and all of these other countries. That was the big complaint, people pointing out America's racism. So America started to let black people in the military, so they wanted to tone down the overt mocking of blacks. Now, they would still, behind the scenes, lynch blacks and do all types of slick shit, but overtly they had to tone it down a little bit. So again, a lot of the white artists, instead of them putting on the blackface and the big lips and the lipstick and all that stuff, shucking and jiving, they try to genuinely incorporate the cadences of black artists. And that's where rock and roll came in. Even the term rock and roll, all of those were old black terms, those slumming terms. It was like a sexual term. Because again, a lot of these artists and a lot of these white performers, they would go down to the black red light districts and cavort with black folks every now and then and see what was popping. Also, a lot of mobsters and a lot of criminals during the 1930s, when they would commit crimes and they would try to hide from the dominant society or hide from law enforcement, they would oftentimes hide in black areas. We would house these cats. Black people would create safe havens for mobsters and gangsters and criminals who are running from the law. We've always helped people in this country. We've always extended a hand to help people in hopes of them returning the favor, which they never really do, but I digress as far as that. But again, you've always had people going down to slum in certain black areas to soak in black culture, because there's always this contradiction. People are repulsed by some of the singing and the gyrating and dancing and sensuality of black music, black culture, but they're intrigued at the same time. There's this dichotomy within the dominant society. They're repulsed yet intrigued. They're repulsed, but yet they can't turn away. You understand that? That's why a lot of people would go down to the black hoe houses and just all types of stuff. Go down to the black areas. People would go down to the Cotton Club in Harlem. People don't know that the Cotton Club in Harlem, black folks couldn't even get in there. You could perform there, but in Harlem, the Cotton Club was a white-only club, white-only patronage. Now, after a while, they would let mulatto or light-skinned black people in, but the Cotton Club in Harlem, it was a place that was strictly for whites to get in, to see black performers. And at the Cotton Club in Harlem, they had like jungle themes there. They would set the inside of it up like a jungle to make it seem like primitive Africa. Real deep stuff about that. People don't know the real deal about the Cotton Club in Harlem. Whenever you see movies, they like to show like real upscale black people sitting around having drinks, but that wasn't the case at the Cotton Club in Harlem. The black people were only the performers. It was white people who were slumming, basically. And it was segregated slumming because you couldn't slum with other black patrons. And a lot of whites out here in Los Angeles, they would go down to Central Avenue and slum, hang around the blacks and soak up black culture. And the thing is, a lot of times, I'm going to get back on the rock and roll thing in a minute. I didn't forget that. But a lot of times when people in the dominant society go slumming, it's always for some depraved shit. It's always for them to go do some ratchet shit. When we were up in Vegas, let me go back to Vegas. When we were up in Vegas last week at the trade show, we were going out to different clubs on the Vegas Strip, and a lot of clubs we went to were predominantly white and different other races besides black. And me and my black friends were there at many of these clubs, and there was a common theme. White people kept coming up to us asking us about where they can get some damn drugs. And I know other black people have dealt with that before. You go to a predominantly white club and you're the only black person, or you and your friends are the only black people, and then you have these people running up to you trying to be buddy. Hey, what's going on, bro? Hey, what's going on? You know where I can get some mollies? I'm like, I don't know where you get some fucking mollies. Get out my face. I don't even drink, let alone do a drug, so step off with that. So people kept coming up to us with that shit. Don't try to come slumming around me. So the slumming concept is very real and it's very new. And I won't say very new, but it's very present. They still do it. I definitely won't say new, but it still happens. The whole concept of slumming. But back to the 1950s, like I was saying, a lot of white performers like Elvis and all of these people. Remember, Elvis just basically remade a whole bunch of other black songs. And Elvis wasn't liked by the dominant society when he came out. He became the king of rock and roll later, but remember, Elvis was not liked because they were saying that Elvis was doing nigger music. A lot of those white rock and roll artists, they were criticized for doing nigger music. That's what they would call it back then. So the thing is, in the 1940s and 50s, a lot of white stations were not playing these black artists. So a lot of the white performers who needed to get that input, needed to get that rock and roll game. They couldn't hear it from a white radio station because the white radio stations wouldn't play Big Mama Thornton and all of these people. A lot of the white record stores weren't selling black music. You had to get black music at the mom and pop stores in the black neighborhoods. So a lot of the white entertainers, they would have to slum in order to get that music. In order to soak that in, they would have to go down to some of these juke joints, and they had to quote unquote act down in order to fit in. And black people, we're very welcoming. We are very welcoming to outsiders, especially back then. But even now, black people are not going to really harm anybody else. You know, we beat the shit out of each other like we ain't got no sense. Because, again, we see ourselves through the eyes of the dominant society. But for the most part, other people can come into the black neighborhoods and ain't nothing going to happen to them. So the thing is, a lot of black artists were having their music and their talent taken away from them. People would just take their songs and remake them and just kind of fuck them out of their money. We've heard all types of stories about Little Richard and just so many groups in the 1950s whose sound and whose music was just taken away from them, and people would remake their stuff and they wouldn't get paid, and they were left broke and destitute. So a lot of black artists, they would, again, back in the late 50s, early 60s, they did what they did in the 1920s. A lot of black artists went over to Europe. If you look at the movie Cadillac Records, they had the Muddy Waters character. That was a good movie, by the way. The character Muddy Waters, you know, he was going through financial situations with Cadillac Records here in the States, which was really Chess Records. They were fucking him out of his money. He was broke, and then he went over to Europe, and he saw that he had a whole new audience, and they welcomed him. And that's another thing. Wherever we go, with our talent, with our style, with our swag, people immediately latch onto it. When all of these black artists started going overseas, over to Europe and England and all that, immediately groups like the Rolling Stones popped up, soaking in that talent, soaking that in, and then they took it, incorporated it, and became successful. So Rolling Stones, they're one of the biggest touring acts to this day. Even the name Rolling Stone is based on a Muddy Waters song. That's based on, they got that from Muddy Waters. They said that. The minute those black artists started going over to Europe, all of a sudden, these white groups started blowing up because they started soaking that in. The Beatles popped off in the early 60s. When them black artists went over there performing, them Paul McCartneys and all that, they saw these cats, incorporated it, sanitized it, and bam, blew up. So again, when people get around us, they know how to get our stuff and then flip it and monetize it for themselves. So how does that apply now? Now let's look at the whole Miley Cyrus situation. It's the same thing. And not just Miley Cyrus. Let's look at Robin Thicke and the Justin Timberlakes. They get around these black producers. They get around Pharrell. They get around these black writers, and they soak in that stuff, and then they blow up with it. You know, they get a couple of booty shakers in their video. They soak that up, flip it, sanitize it, make it accessible to the dominant society, take the so-called filth and taint out of it. Because when we do it, it's filthy, dirty, derogatory. But when a white artist, when they do it, the same thing, it's all of a sudden cool now. Just like with this whole twerking thing with Miley Cyrus. So now twerking has been going on. Black folks been twerking or doing different variations of twerking or booty shaking for forever. And not that I co-sign all of it, because I think we do too much damn twerking. You look at YouTube, there's too much twerking going on. I think that we should handle more business, then we can twerk. Let's build some shit, then we twerk our fucking asses off. But let's build something. Not a big fan of just constant twerking without building. But that's the thing that we do. We've been doing it. It is what it is. Now, Miley Cyrus has now popularized within the dominant society the whole twerking thing. Now it's kind of cool and cute, which I have a problem with, because when a lot of sisters would do it, people use that to justify their uncontrollable sexuality and innate inferiorness. They would use that to say, well, black women are just too overly sexual. They can't control themselves. This is why they keep having these bastard kids. Look at them. They're just whores. They're just innate hookers. They can't stop it. And that's the problem with black folks. This is what the dominant society would say about us. And they still say it about us. Now that Miley Cyrus is doing it and little white kids are doing it, little white girls are doing it, now it's a cute little fad. Just like with the whole pregnancy thing. Black women get pregnant, teenage pregnancy, that dirty nigga bitch. That's what they would say. When white kids do it, oh, she's 16 and pregnant. Let's give her an MTV show. They make it cute and cuddly when they do it. They make little cute movies about it, like Juno. Y'all remember that movie, Juno? They love that movie about the teenage girl that got pregnant. It wasn't inferior. It wasn't indicative of the whole race like they do us. One black teenager get pregnant, all of a sudden the whole black race is fucked up. So we just have to understand the racial politics of the game. Let me get a couple of calls before I go on. A lot of folks are calling here. What's going on? Who's calling?
Hey, what's going on, brother Tariq? This is McAdoo, homie.
What's up, McAdoo? Where you calling from, player?
Man, I'm out here in the IE, working like always.
Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
Man, I was checking out this Miley Cyrus topic you was talking about, man, and just tripping out. People trying to equate her with black culture instead of her just being white trash. It's kind of weird to me.
Absolutely.
You know, just because she got black dancers don't mean she's trying to be like us. She's being white trash, and that's what she is. So I don't think that the media should be trying to equate that with us, man. You know what I'm saying?
Real talk, man. Thanks for the call. Yeah, so the thing is, with the whole Miley Cyrus situation, this is the real deal with Miley Cyrus and with a lot of artists. See, the thing is, a lot of kid stars or kid artists, what happens when they try to grow up and transition, usually they fail. A lot of times when you are known as a kid artist and then you try to transition, still trying to be the goody two-shoes person, it's very difficult to transition that, because a lot of times when your fans grow up, they just remember liking you when they were a kid, but they're not going to fuck with you as an adult because they don't want to seem like they're adults still harping on their childhood crush or their childhood thing. So they kind of let childhood shit go. So it's very hard to transition from a child actor to an adult. So now the new thing with a lot of people is to act extremely ratchet to create a taint to your image and then clean your image up. Justin Bieber is doing this because he was the kid star. Now he's this little wannabe gangster doing all this little wannabe gangster stuff, smoking weed. All that stuff is Justin don't really have to do that. And I don't like people trying to come around black folks to incorporate this whole ratchet lifestyle in order to clean up or change their image. And that's the thing with Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus is associated with Disney. The name is associated with Disney. So in order to disassociate yourself with Disney, you have to taint yourself. This is the whole strategy that they're using. All of this stuff is a strategy. This is a chess move that they're doing. This is all a chess move. Trust and believe. That whole performance that Miley Cyrus did, it was deliberately a train wreck. It was a deliberate train wreck. They knew it was going to be a train wreck. Don't think for a minute they didn't rehearse that train wreck. They didn't tell her to go out on the stage, lick out her tongue. All of that shit was a train wreck. That's why she had all those black dancers. She had all those black, thick, chunky, stripper-looking sisters on stage with her for a reason. That was not random. All of that was very deliberate because they said if we want to get that Disney vibe off of her, we have to taint her. We got to make her seem deprived, just utter depravity. We got to just make her seem extremely ratchet, and the best way to do that is put her around black folks. And then black people can be to blame for her acting so ratchet. It's her hanging around the Negroes that's doing it. Got that? So they put her on stage with all these black women shaking ass, and she's smacking black women on the ass and putting her face in black. It's this real thick, big black woman. She put her face in her ass. All of that stuff is very deliberate, using the black women as props. That's that whole Venus Hottentot thing. Put these big booty black women on stage and have them trot around like animals And Miley Cyrus jumping around like she ain't got no sense. All of that is very deliberate. So people can be in shock and awe and have outrage about it. And then this is what's going to happen with Miley Cyrus. Pretty soon, she's going to totally do a 380. A 180, whatever it is. But she's going to flip the script again. She's going to clean that image up again. She's going to do a Marky Mark. She's going to do a Mark Wahlberg. Y'all remember Marky Mark and the Funky Mark? Mark Wahlberg, the actor. He was a rapper before he was an actor. A lot of younger folks don't know this, but Mark Wahlberg, he was a rapper before he was an actor. And if you go listen to Mark Wahlberg interviews from the early 90s, he had a song called Feel the Vibration. When he did interviews, Mark Wahlberg, the white actor / white rapper, he was talking all that nigga black shit, all that ebonics. He could barely talk. Yo, it's Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Yo. Oh, he was yo-yoing all through the goddamn interview. Oh, he had all that nigga shit down pat. Yo, feel the vibrations. Okay. How come he don't talk like that now? He talks very white now. He talks normal now. So why does he talk normal now and he couldn't talk normal then? Well, he could always talk normal. That was a whole acting facade thing. You understand what I'm saying? People put on this front and then they turn it on and turn it off at will. That's why I don't buy into it. When I see people come around me and you ain't from the hood or whatever, don't start talking hood shit. Don't start talking all that ghetto shit, especially if you're a white person. Don't talk all that. Talk normal. Because when it's time to turn it off, you know how to turn that shit off. Just like Miley Cyrus. See, she has the privilege of not being ratchet. That's why she knows better. Again, this is all image. You don't just become ratchet overnight. That's all fake fucking image. All of that is contrived. It's all contrived. And she's trying so hard. It's so blatantly obvious, shaking them little old hush puppy looking booty cheeks of hers. It looks horrible. And then surrounding herself with all these black women, so these black women are going to be to blame for her ratchetness. And then when she flips the script and does a complete turnaround, she's going to be like, well, back then I was going through some things. I was hanging with the wrong crowd, but I'm better now. And they're going to accept her. Because it will be mission accomplished. By that time, she will have that Disney taint off of her. Because that's what she's doing now. She's just getting the Disney thing off of her. She's getting that off of her now. It's off of her now. The Disney thing is off of her now. And it's off of her at the expense of black folks. See, black folks got to stop letting people use them. Black people love being used by other people. Because I guess black folks say, well, hell, as long as they throw me a bone, use me. But black people are always being used to uplift and fund somebody else's cause. You're always used as a pawn for somebody else. And black people are being used as pawns. And so we got to say, hey, look, I'm not cool with that. I'm not going to co-sign that. Because just like all these Lindsay Lohans and all these people, they can continue to fuck up and they have the privilege to get a pass. The dominant society will accept them later on down the line. They'll forgive them, just like Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr., he's back to being an A-list actor right now in Hollywood. But if you remember Robert Downey Jr., he was in a crack house every other day in L.A. back in the day. Robert Downey Jr., they found that motherfucker in a crack house every other week out here in L.A. back in the day. He cleaned himself up, got that image together, and he's back. This is why you notice nobody white has come out really and said anything negative about Lindsay Lohan. Not Lindsay Lohan, but Miley Cyrus. This whole performance she had, no white performers are coming out saying anything negative about her. Have you noticed that? As a matter of fact, Justin Timberlake spoke up for her. Justin Timberlake, I think he did an interview speaking up for Miley Cyrus. Nobody's speaking negatively about her. Now, you notice Justin Timberlake didn't speak up for Janet Jackson when that titty popped out. When Justin Timberlake pulled her titty out, you notice he didn't say nothing about, he didn't speak up for her, right? Y'all better know what's going on out here. Y'all better know the deal. People act like they down, but they ain't that goddamn down. They know what side they need to be on at the end of the day. You feel me? Justin Timberlake does all that dancing black shit, but he knows whose side to be on at the end of the day. Do you know whose side to be on at the end of the day, people? Some of y'all don't. Some of you don't know whose side to be on at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you know what y'all do. When it comes to choosing sides, y'all know what y'all do. That's what y'all do. Some of you niggas pull out your goddamn banjo. Y'all pull out your banjo and you get to plucking. That's whose side you gonna be on. You gonna be on the dominant society side. You dig? But the whole thing with Miley Cyrus, like I said, man, she's gonna clean up her image. Pretty soon she's gonna flip the script and say, hey, I'm sorry, I was going through something. I was hanging with the quote-unquote wrong crowd, meaning these ratchet black women. I've changed. I've gotten it together. I'm a Scientologist or whatever. And she's going to be all right. She's going to have that Disney taint off of her, and she's going to have a cool career as an adult actress and an adult singer. Oh, she's going to clean that image up. I guarantee it. Mark my words. On her next album, probably, she's going to be in a suit doing some Celine Dion shit. She's going to be somewhere in Vegas getting her Celine Dion on. Trust that. This ain't nothing but a phase she's going through. And that's how they're going to promote it, as a phase. And again, man, black folks got to understand the game. If you look at the MTV Video Music Awards, did you guys notice that no black artists won anything? There were black people performing. I think that went over a lot of people's heads too. No black artists won anything. The best music hip hop video, I think, was Macklemore. I mean, just no black artists actually won anything. So black folks got to get hip to the game. People are starting to be very indifferent to your needs, but they use you for their own gain. Let me say that again, black folks. A lot of people are starting to become, not even starting to become, they are indifferent to your need, meaning they don't give a fuck about you, but we can use whatever you got popping to benefit us. On the MTV Video Awards show, y'all notice they brought out Jason Collins, the gay basketball player. He got up there with his mush mouth ass talking about, my grandmother told me discriminating against gay people is just like discriminating against black people. They came out with that whole black gay civil rights is the same thing rhetoric, which it is not. And I've done a whole show about that before. And that was a big theme at the MTV Video Music Awards, the whole gay rights thing, which is cool, but they keep trying to incorporate it with black civil rights and black human rights, and they keep trying to equate it with blackness, and it's simply not the same. And that's very offensive when they do that, because the gay rights struggle is a very unique and a very genuine struggle, but it is not the same as the black struggle, because that is very unique and it's extremely different, and it is not the same. It cannot be compared. There was no Jim Crow for the gay community. There is no stop and frisk now for the gay community. So taking the energy and the traction from the black civil rights movement and incorporating it with other movements that didn't suffer through the same detrimental time frame and circumstances is very disingenuous and very dishonest. And the thing is, what happens is when people do that, when people compare their movement with black people's struggle in America, which was extremely unique, and when other groups of people prosper after they make that comparison and they fit in with the dominant society, people look at black folks like, okay, if they could prosper and get over it, how come you couldn't do it? They went through what you went through and they got over it. How come you couldn't do it? And they didn't do what we did or went through what we went through. They didn't go through what we went through. So that's a very unfair comparison. This is why they can prosper a little bit more, because they didn't have the obstacles that we had and we still have. that are generational. So again, I digress as far as that, but I just don't like that comparison. Again, I respect your struggle because I don't think anybody should be discriminated against. Nobody should discriminate against you because you're a gay person. You should be able to do what the hell you want to do, but it ain't the same as what black folks went through. Let's be very, very clear. It is not the damn same what black folks went through systematically, across the board, generationally. It ain't the same. Let's be very clear on that. Anyway, y'all, that's been today's episode of the Mack Lessons Radio, folks. Don't forget to check out TariqElite.com to get your clothing game popping. We got caps, t-shirts, man, sunglasses, cologne, TariqElite.com. Also, don't forget to go to TariqLive.com to join me down in Nashville, Tennessee, September 21st. Ladies and gentlemen, check me out on Ustream this Sunday at TariqLive.com, and I'm gonna holla, family. Peace. Family, peace. Family, peace. Family, peace. Family, peace. Family.